Welcome to our deep dive today,
Okay.
where we're going to be tackling
Good.
a pretty intriguing topic, actually.
Yeah.
The personality of Richard Feynman
Oh, wow.
as seen through the lens of the Enneagram.
Okay.
You've sent in some fantastic research on both Feynman and this personality typing system.
Right.
So we're going to try to figure out how his life might reflect
Okay.
the traits of a specific Enneagram type 7, the enthusiast,
Right.
and more specifically, the sexual 7 subtype.
Okay.
Get ready, because this is going to be fascinating.
This will be fun.
So,
Yeah, what's really intriguing about Feynman is how
Ugh.
his scientific brilliance was intertwined with this incredibly vibrant, almost larger-than-life personality.
wow.
So we're not just talking about physics here.
Right.
We're delving into the man himself.
Okay, so let's unpack this Enneagram thing a bit.
Yeah.
For those of you who might not be familiar with it, think of it as a system that categorizes different personality types
Right.
based on their core motivations and fears.
Okay.
And the sexual 7 subtype, also known as the suggestible,
Right.
is particularly captivating.
It is, yeah.
What makes them tick?
Well, the sexual sevens possess this incredible capacity for idealism.
Yeah.
They're almost enchanted by the world, constantly seeking out beauty and meaning in everything they encounter. You could say they see magic where others might see the mundane.
That definitely sounds like Feynman. I mean, think about his famous Feynman diagrams.
Absolutely.
He took the incredibly complex world of quantum mechanics and turned it into something visually intuitive, almost like a work of art.
Precisely. It's like his yearning for a more magical reality pushed him to translate those abstract concepts into something tangible and visually arresting.
Yeah.
And that's the power of the sexual 7, finding the extraordinary within the ordinary.
Right.
This wasn't just confined to his scientific work, though.
Right.
It permeated his entire approach to life.
You know, it's interesting because he once said that physics is like sex. Sure, it may give some practical results, but that's not why we do it.
Right.
He was clearly driven by something deeper, a pure passion for discovery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Carl Abraham, a psychologist who studied personality,
Okay.
described the sexual 7 as completely optimistic in every sense.
Wow.
And you see that optimism woven throughout Feynman's life, whether it was his work on the Manhattan Project,
Okay.
his playful approach to cracking safes,
Right.
or even his diverse hobbies like playing the bongos
Yeah.
or deciphering Mayan hieroglyphs.
Wow.
There was this unwavering belief in the beauty and endless possibilities of the world.
It's almost like he was constantly in love with life itself.
Yeah.
And that brings us to another interesting aspect of the sexual 7, their gluttony. Now, before you imagine Feynman at an all-you-can-eat buffet,
Right.
it's important to understand that within the Enneagram framework,
Okay.
gluttony refers to a deeper hunger.
Exactly. It's not about food, but about an insatiable thirst for experiences,
Okay.
for stimulation.
Right.
Feynman's curiosity knew no bounds.
Yeah.
He had to try everything, learn everything, constantly pushing his own limits.
Wow.
He saw life as this incredible adventure with endless possibilities, and he was determined to savor it all.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just physics, too. I
Right.
mean, this is a guy who is just as passionate about playing the bongos or cracking safes as he was about solving complex scientific problems.
Exactly.
It's like that relentless drive, that hunger for knowledge and experience fueled his entire being.
And this insatiable curiosity played a crucial role in his ability to connect with others.
Okay.
Feynman wasn't just a brilliant scientist. He was an extraordinary communicator.
Okay.
His lectures were legendary, captivating audiences, with his ability to break down complex ideas into simple, understandable terms, often infused with his signature wit and humor.
You know, Naranjo, the Enneagram expert,
Right.
describes the sexual 7 as an enchanted enchanter.
Yes.
And I can't think of a better way to describe Feynman.
He had this incredible magnetism that drew people in,
Yeah.
making them see the world through his eyes.
It's fascinating how that childlike sense of wonder,
Yeah.
that almost contagious enthusiasm,
Right.
allowed him to make science accessible, even fun, for so many people.
He could make you feel like you were right there with him,
Funny.
uncovering the mysteries of the universe.
And that playful energy, that sense of mischief, often extended beyond the classroom.
Oh, absolutely.
The stories about him picking locks at Los Alamos during the Manhattan Project are legendary.
Yeah.
It's like he couldn't resist a challenge or
Right.
poking fun at authority.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about being rebellious. there was this underlying defiance, this refusal to be confined by rules or expectation.
That playful defiance, that inherent resistance to being controlled,
Yeah.
is another hallmark of the sexual seven.
Right.
It's almost like they need to test the boundaries to see how far they can push things.
Right.
And this rebellious streak wasn't just a personality quirk.
Okay.
It also manifested in his scientific work.
Now that's where it gets really interesting.
Feynman wasn't afraid to challenge established theories,
Right.
to go against the grain, question the status quo.
Yeah.
He was always seeking a fresh perspective, a new way of understanding the universe.
Okay.
And that same drive for novelty and stimulation
Yeah.
that fueled his rebellious antics also fueled his groundbreaking scientific discoveries.
It makes you wonder if those two sides of him,
Right.
the playful prankster and the brilliant physicist, were actually more connected than we realize.
That's a really insightful observation.
It's like that same energy that drove him to pick locks at Los Alamos also drove him to unravel the mysteries of quantum electrodynamics.
And it speaks to the duality of the sexual seven.
Okay.
They have this incredible capacity for both lightheartedness and deep intellectual pursuit. It's like they're constantly seeking a connection between the realm of ideas and the tangible world around them.
And remember his rivalry with Murray Gell-Mann?
Oh, yeah. Two brilliant minds.
Yeah.
Constantly pushing each other, sometimes clashing, but also propelling each other to new heights.
Oh, absolutely. That competitive spirit seems to be another hallmark of the sexual seven.
Yeah, they have this strong desire to be seen, to be recognized for their talents.
It's not just about ego, though. It's also about this deep-seated need to share their unique perspective with the world.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It's not simply about seeking attention for attention's sake, but about wanting their discoveries, their insights, to have a meaningful impact. And for a sexual seven, that impact often comes from challenging conventional thinking, from pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, think about how Feynman revolutionized the way we understand quantum mechanics.
Absolutely.
He wasn't content with simply accepting the established theories. He needed to find a way to make them accessible, to visualize them, to breathe life into them.
It's like he was driven by this insatiable need to make the complex understandable, to share the beauty he saw in the universe with everyone.
But that brings up an interesting point.
Okay.
While we've been focusing on the positive aspects of the sexual seven, there's also a potential shadow side to this personality type.
Indeed. That same drive for stimulation, for pushing boundaries, can sometimes manifest in less desirable ways.
Oh.
The sexual seven can struggle with impulsivity, with a tendency to overindulge in pleasurable experiences, whether it's food excitement or even attention. And this can sometimes lead to a disregard for consequences or the needs of others.
And I imagine this could create some challenges both in personal relationships and in professional settings.
There's a fine line between healthy self-confidence and outright arrogance.
And while Feynman's exuberance and charisma were often endearing, there are accounts of him dominating conversations, interrupting people, always needing to be the center of attention.
It reminds us that even someone as brilliant and captivating as Feynman was still human, with flaws and complexities just like the rest of us.
Exactly.
And recognizing those flaws is not about diminishing his accomplishments, but about understanding him more fully.
Yeah.
It's about seeing the complete picture, the light and the shadow.
By looking at him through the lens of the sexual seven, we gain a deeper appreciation for the forces that shaped his life and work.
We see how his boundless energy, his insatiable curiosity, his playful defiance, all contributed to his remarkable journey.
It makes you wonder if those same qualities, those aspects of his personality that could sometimes be challenging, were also, in a way, essential to his success.
Would Feynman have been Feynman without those inherent contradictions?
And that's a fascinating question.
Yeah, it makes you think about the nature of genius.
Right.
The drive for knowledge, the complex interplay between personality and creativity.
Perhaps it's those very contradictions, those internal tensions that fuel extraordinary accomplishments.
Like that old saying, there's a thin line between genius and madness.
Right.
But in Feynman's case, it was a line he walked with incredible grace
Yeah.
and a mischievous twinkle in his eye.
So we've seen how Feynman's life exemplifies both the strengths and the potential pitfalls of the sexual seven personality.
Okay.
His story highlights the importance of balance,
Yeah.
of harnessing those powerful drives in a way that's both creative and constructive. But there's one more aspect we haven't touched on yet.
Okay.
And it's a bit of a darker side to this personality type.
You're referring to the challenges,
Right.
the shadow side, that can emerge when those inherent desires become distorted or unmanaged.
Exactly. Because for all the excitement and exuberance, there's also a potential for things to go too far. That idealism, that constant search for stimulation, can sometimes blind the sexual seven to reality.
Yeah.
It's like they're chasing a never-ending high,
Right.
which can lead to unhealthy habits and a disregard for consequences.
That's a crucial point. The very qualities that make the sexual seven so vibrant and engaging can also become their downfall if they're not careful.
Right.
That insatiable thirst for experience can lead to recklessness, impulsivity, even a tendency to escape into fantasy when faced with difficult emotions.
And I imagine that could have played a role in some of the challenges Feynman faced throughout his life.
Indeed.
Wow.
While we don't want to speculate or diagnose, it's clear that his relentless pursuit of stimulation sometimes came at a cost.
Yeah.
There are accounts of him struggling with fidelity in his relationships, pushing himself to extremes, and even engaging in behaviors that could be considered self-destructive.
It's a reminder that even with all his brilliance and charm, Feynman was still human. He grappled with the same internal conflicts, the same temptations and vulnerabilities as anyone else.
Right.
And perhaps it's those very struggles that make his story all the more relatable.
Absolutely. It's in those moments of vulnerability, those glimpses of the shadow side, that we see the true complexity of the human experience.
Yeah.
It's not about judging or condemning,
Right.
but about recognizing that even the most extraordinary individuals are not immune to the challenges of life.
So by exploring Feynman's personality through the lens of the sexual seven, we've gained a much deeper understanding of the forces that shaped his life and work. We've seen how his boundless energy, his insatiable curiosity, and his playful defiance all contributed to his remarkable journey. But we've also glimpsed the potential pitfalls, the shadow side that can emerge when those powerful drives become distorted or unmanaged.
It's a powerful reminder that even our greatest strengths can become our weaknesses if we're not mindful.
Right.
And perhaps that's one of the most valuable takeaways from our deep dive today.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the importance of balance, of harnessing our passions in a way that's both creative and constructive.
Yeah.
And it's about embracing our whole selves, the light and the shadow, and recognizing that even in our flaws lies the potential for growth and transformation.
And ultimately, it's about remembering that the journey of self-discovery is ongoing. It's about constantly exploring, questioning, and striving to become the best versions of ourselves.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the fascinating world of Richard Feynman, we invite you to reflect on what aspects of his story resonated with you the most.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's his infectious enthusiasm for life, his unwavering curiosity, or even his willingness to embrace his flaws. And we encourage you to consider how understanding the Enneagram or any personality typing system might help you better understand yourself and the people around you.
Yeah.
It's a journey of self-discovery that's well worth taking.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.